If you make it better for one group of people, the product, I mean, you make it better for everyone.
When you give these kind of examples, or when they're starting using something that was designed for people with disability, then they just maybe realize that, oh, actually my life is easier too. So it's not only for them.
They're trying to find product market fit. They're not going to put a whole load of resource into a niche access need at this point.
What if it was designed like differently, so nobody actually needs to do that?
I have a lot of stored anger inside of me of really bad UX that I've seen over the years.
You have a walk cost account, all the crypto stuff's abstracted away. That's massively needed. Crypto wallets for people living with dementia. That's what I want.
We were both not really based in London because it was during COVID, but we met at UCL.
Cool. I did my half masters at UCL. What did you guys do?
We were in the computer science department. I don't remember the name. It was a really long name. Disability Design and Innovation. Yeah, that was the name.
Yeah.
Do you say disability?
Yep.
Designing innovation. Huh. I wear hearing aids, by the way, in that context. And so what I was fiddling with over there was my Bluetooth going into my hearing aids from our call.
It's super interesting because in this program, you really learn, first of all, almost everyone has a disability, and you really see it from the opportunity perspective and not from the problem perspective. And as you progress in the studies, as you learn to build your own products, you realize that if you make it better for one group of people, the product, I mean, you make it better for everyone.
Yep.
And so everyone benefits. The other day, I saw a sign at the airport with I made a post about it today, and I always do this. I have an accessibility design channel. And there are so many things I notice on a daily basis. I would never have noticed them without our studies, I think.
Yeah. Really interesting.
More sensitive.
Joining the accessibility design channel right now.
It's not very active. When you see something that comes to your mind, something where a group of people is clearly overlooked, mostly with a disability, that's when we share it in there.
No, love that. So I have been working in care and working with people living with dementia for the past 20 years. And I run my own care company that I founded. I really get where you're coming from with that. And yeah, dementia, things being designed for people living with dementia is just a massive unlock for everybody. Because like you say, it makes everything easier for everybody.
It's kind of like absolutely unexpected direction that we're sort of going. But what exactly your company is doing? Is it
hands-on, supporting people in their own homes generally, although sometimes in care homes, to have the best possible quality of life. That's the heart of what we're doing.
Oh, what's interesting is basically my first job out of university and during the master's where I was still working. It was designing software for carers and doctors and nurses.
I hate the care sector, by the way. I don't hate it, but I hate the language and the constraints. Sorry, carry on.
I'm 100% with you. I was there for, I think, 2.5 years. I was the first product designer they hired. And it was a big mess in terms of how you design products to make them really accessible for the carers, but then also for the families of the people who got cared for. So it was really interesting, and that's how I got my first really bigger insight into the industry. One of the, most important industries in the world.
Yeah, and it's so limited. It's really frustrating.
I think about the name, something that you said, for accessibility to be less overlooked when it comes to developing something or designing something, it definitely needs some rebranding when it comes to promoting the design of accessibility or anything, because it kind of in the minds of people who has zero connection to it, that maybe they don't have family members or anything, and it's outside of their scope, and they start to think that it's more like a charity situation. And studying this course was also helpful of understanding how you can promote and start, when you talk, because I think the idea of the course, there was no specific profession that you were going out with, because it was computer science, it was design, it was legislation, everything. The goal was when you go somewhere to work, you are becoming the person who will be promoting it, because you will be bringing up from the different perspectives, why do we need to bring it? So I think, really grateful for the course. I met Paul, so he's my co-founder now.
I love that so much. And that whole thing about language is so interesting, because I think the language accessibility is much more powerful, and disability is always... there's a done to thing going on the whole time. It's it's othering people all the time. And like you say, everyone's got disabilities, and there's no normal fundamentally, not in like all the domains that we exist inside of.
Yeah, I think when people start to think about examples, even on things like, maybe their phone, or where is the button is located, or even like the lift, where is the button, how you're opening the door. If you would take away like why it was designed, who the people were thinking in the first place, like let's say a person in a wheelchair or something else, like, and just give a person who has no disability to use it, that they just realize like, oh, how much it's more convenient and their experience is so much better. I don't know how to actually do this, but I think when you give these kind of examples, or when they're starting using something that was designed for people with disability, then they just maybe realize that, oh, actually my life is easier too. So it's not only for them.
Doors are a massive thing for me. Like I keep thinking about doors in public buildings and things, like through the dementia lens. And it's like, I'm pushing on a door that's supposed to be pull.
Well, I personally, I don't like to touch public things. So I'm never touching. So yeah, like I'm like doing this kind of like weird, like if there is no door that I can push or pull, like I'm just doing like these weird actions trying to open it or something. What if it was designed like differently so nobody actually need to do that?
Yeah, it's super interesting. But then also I'm an artist and I make web experiences, and I kind of also have the flip side of it, which is like I've been teaching myself how to code and how to do things, and it's hard and it's complicated, and I try and bear these things in mind, but also I find myself interestingly on both sides of it, where I'm knowing I'm not using the most accessible color, but I'm choosing it because it looks a certain way that happens to fit with what I'm doing. It is always tensions and trade-offs.
I think what I found a comfort is like trying to take away the pressure of making everything 100% accessible, because you're never gonna meet accessibility requirements for everyone. There is always will be some kind of a trade-off. So like in my head, like it's always this never-ending process. So you're just doing something and you're constantly improving somehow. And then you do your work, making the things more and more accessible, but also realizing that you're never going to achieve that point where like, okay, that's it. I'm 100% accessible for everyone. It's never going to happen. So there will always be a trade-off of you doing something that isn't accessible for someone else.
There was a really interesting conversation about from the guy who's wanting to make farcaster accessible for people with profound hearing loss. He trains people in photography in order to help them communicate. He was really like, I want farcaster to be accessible, he was like wanting to get on a mission with farcaster, with Warpcast particularly, and my point was they're trying to find product market fit. They're not going to put a whole load of resource into a niche access need at this point. And what is the route? What is the route through? Because the answer is not Warpcast, it's another client fundamentally who does want to meet this need, and like is actually building a community of people that care enough to fund it to make it happen. And we kind of got that potential here, which is kind of interesting. But it does obviously need someone to take it on as a mission.
What's the client that he's building? What's the name of it?
No, he's not. He was just kind of he was kind of angry with Warpcast. And I was trying, and like this was a perspective that I never had 2 years ago. Like I didn't understand how digital products really got built. It's been one of the interesting things about hanging out on Farcaster is hanging out with a load of digital builders, right? I got a lot of insight into that.
I agree with that, because I mean, like they're trying to, like it's sometimes not the best design, like for anyone, like even the most able person, because it's not the goal right now. It's just they're trying to find what works, and then that just will be approving the UX and UI. So yeah, like if you want to start like from the scratch and designing the client, I think you have to go with your own client, and then focus on it. And that's why I asked, like I was wondering, I wanted to see like how would go the development of the client that is 100% focused on, we're making the decisions based on accessibility, and see like how it evolves. It would be interesting even from the product perspective to see like how it's going.
Maybe this should happen.
Yeah, I'm wondering would we need like an accessibility DAO where, let's say, some of the bigger companies are paying into, like, let's say, Merkle Manufacturing can take part in it, Coinbase can take part in it, and then obviously everyone else.
Everyone is subscribing to it.
Yeah, true. It could be
Yeah.
hypersound.
Yeah, totally.
Okay. I
don't
I'm
don't think any of us were expecting this idea to happen on this call.
Yeah, neither did I. It's still a wish and like a desire to make things more accessible that even though we're building something besides Los Fomos that it kind of powers the back end of Los Fomos, more on that later. But I still would love to do my part in making it more accessible because it's very unfair if we think about it. We're really working on something cutting edge for the industry. Seeing how like crypto and like ownership is changing social behavior online. So leaving a lot of people behind is really just unfair, as with everything else as well. The only problem is time.
Always. Always.
Oh, but
Um,
I'd totally love to.
but if that's the interesting thing about Web3 and the DAO model, and like this is something that all three of us care about. We know that there are other people on Farcaster that also care about it, and what is the structure that Web3 can build that we can get some capital together and then empower someone to build it, right? Like none of us have to. We all could, which is why it like kind of causes attention for us, right? But yeah,
I like it, like because we could be like as a contributor. Let's say people are like coming together and starting building, and there's a different parts of the contribution that you can make, and that doesn't maybe becomes your main project that you're working on, but still you're like we can contribute to it, like whatever it's
exactly.
going to be. So I'm 100% interested in doing anything like that, and if there is like some movement in this direction.
I
Okay,
can contribute my UX qualities. I have a lot of stored anger inside of me of really bad UX that I've seen over the years.
I get really
Also,
cross about bad UX.
the first thing that came to my mind because we're really in the content, well, we're really reading a lot about content, how we can make Los Fomos more distinctive on the show side from everything else that's out there in the crypto space and in general. And I feel like testimonials have been so helpful for projects in the past where you don't really abstract this disability and just talk about it as this like separate thing, but you show the people and you talk with people that have a certain disability and then show how it actually changes for them if you build a product this way.
And
Like, how do we on the biggest question is how do we onboard other like people from other platforms that are non-crypto? And then, I mean, of course, there's this issue with like wallets and making wallets accessible because you can't really make Farcaster and Webcast accessible if there's no really accessible wallet. You still have to provide that opportunity for people.
I think that's getting solved, though. I couldn't say exactly who's solving it, but I feel like there's at least 2 or 3 people in the ecosystem who are
Okay, cool.
getting to a place where it's like get a Walkcast account from nothing, like no crypto knowledge at all. You have a Walkcast account, all the crypto stuff's abstracted away. That's massively needed. Yeah. I was casting today just looking for that accessible wallet because it doesn't
Oh,
exist yet.
I think I saw that cast. Maybe this is how I thought about it. Yeah.
But yeah, it's because yeah, I'm doing a project locally for a local arts festival that's happening, and I'm doing a collaborative co-created piece, and I wanted to be on chain for a number of reasons, but one is just for provenance and to go, this is the official collection because it's all CC0 and playing into all of that. But the upshot of this is that I'm having people buy or curate the artwork, which then goes on chain, and they don't have anywhere to put it. They don't have a wallet to put it in. So for the meantime, I'm like, I've just got an address box that they can put an ETH address in if they want to. Obviously, no one is, and they're just all coming to me for the time being. But what I really want is, if you want this to go, like, click this button and get a wallet. And I haven't even found a landing page that I can send them to, because the landing page is all like, store all your crypto assets and da da da, and like, they don't care. They don't care. Yeah, solving all of this.
Okay, really exciting.
Crypto wallets for people living with dementia. That's what I want.
Sounds like a really exciting project, actually. It sounds like 100 times more interesting than any other
I bet
use case.
it's going to become the wallet that everyone is going to end up using.
Yeah.
Right.
Because everyone forgets their keys all the time.
Just generally, the designer is going to be much easier, and it will be then, because of it, suitable for everyone, because no one wants to have a headache.
Yeah. But of course, there are trade-offs. And yeah, there are security trade-offs and all of that you'd end up with.
Yeah.
The right solution for 90% of people, probably.
Follow Los Fomos on YouTube and subscribe on Hyperstar if you want to become a producer of Los Fomos FM.